Well, good afternoon to everyone. My name is Dave Douglas, and it's my pleasure to serve as Dean of the Law School here at William & Mary. It is wonderful to have all the friends and family in particular for this very special day, our 2014 award ceremony. Now, some of the awards that we're going to celebrate today have already been given, okay? So in that instance, we're just going to ask the recipients to stand up and be acknowledged. But for others, we're going to invite the recipients to come up on the stage to receive your award, which in some instances is a certificate, in some instances is a plaque. Now, what happens if you receive a plaque? Well, here's what happens. You will be permitted to hold the plaque, admire the plaque, be photographed with the plaque, and then give it back, because it will be mounted on the wall of the law school for generations in the future to admire your success. So I'm sorry, that's how that works. The certificates you do get to go home with. Now, a few of our most special student awards are being saved for graduation ceremony tomorrow, and they're noted on the back of your programs. There are also a few organizations who have already given awards to certain students in separate ceremonies, and those won't be recaptured here today. Now, some of the awards will involve a number of individuals. There'll be lots of folks called up at a particular moment. Lest we clap ourselves to the point of injury, I suggest that we hold our applause when there's a group until everybody is assembled on the stage. But with that noted, let me say this. Today is absolutely a time of celebration, and so you should feel free to clap and cheer for your loved one or family member as is appropriate. And feel free, if you'd like, to come down and take a photograph. We'll pause for a second with each group and then they'll move on. So if you get quickly and want to get an up-close photograph, you will have the ability to do so. After this ceremony today, there will be a reception back at the law school. So feel free to join us with all the other members of the class of 14 and friends and family back there. So I hope that you will take time to do that. One other matter that I thought I would mention, you saw the SBA president, Sean Radomski, lead our procession a minute ago in carrying this golden mace. And quite often, folks say, what is that exactly? And where did you get it? Well, this is a mace that was crafted in the middle of the 19th century, and it's a copy of the mace that is used today in the British House of Commons. So it's a lovely thing that we have that sort of solidifies our origins with the United Kingdom. We begin today's ceremony with recognizing those members of the graduating class who are being inducted into the Order of the Coif. It's one of the highest honors that the law school confers each year on our graduating students. This year we will admit 22 students into Order of the Coif based on their law school grade point average. This represents the top 10% of the graduating class. Now, first of all, let me tell the family members a little bit about the Order of the Coif. What is this, and why is it so significant? Well, it's an ancient institution dating back to the 12th century in England. The English order was an association of lawyers from whose ranks judges tended to come, and for centuries, it was these lawyers who had the sole right to appear in English courts as barristers. Only the most able lawyers in England were chosen for Order of the Coif. Much pomp and ceremony attended the initiation of new members of the Order of the Coif. Bells were rung, learned addresses were given, and feasts were had. And you know, part of the tradition too, by the way, is the new initiates had to pay for the whole thing. Now, we don't do that. That's probably a good innovation. But the feast that was held, paid for by the new members, was attended by judges and members of the nobility, quite often the crown of England. 7 days of feasting would often take place. This was a very big deal. Now, why is this society called the Order of the Coif? Well, the Order of the Coif takes its name, used to describe a little cap, a very close-fitting cap that all of the initiates wore, and hence the name Coif and Order of the Coif. It's thought by some to be the precursor to judges wearing wigs in England. The English Order of the Coif was always an extraordinarily highly selective group. Many of England's greatest lawyers and judges had membership, and at any given time there were probably only about 40 or 45 members of the Coif in England. These included Blackstone and Bacon and Cook and Glanville. Today, Order of the Coif is an institution at about 80 of America's law schools. It's a very selective group, and as mentioned, it's limited to the top 10% of the graduating class and to one honorary member that we will also confer in just a few minutes. Now let's proceed with the initiation of the class of 2014 members of the Order of the Coif. And again, do hold your applause until the end, and then we can all let loose. I would like to invite Professor Patty Roberts to come forward and to read the names of the newest members of William and Mary's Order of the Coif.
Congratulations to Katie Deborah Baranek, Erin Elizabeth Barrett, Beth Rachel Budnick, Sarah Jane Burkhart Connor, Kevin Spencer Elliker, Emily Ann Gomez, James T. Graves, Elizabeth Joan Heron, Meredith Eve Hunt, Alex Lurie, Alexander Snyder Mackler, Faye Scott McCann, Mary Caroline Miller, Skylar Ross Peacock, Jenna Marie Poligo, Sean Joseph Radomski, Larsa Katie Ramsini, Cassandra Blythe Roeder, Kevin Michael Schneider, Andrew Lawrence Steinberg, Melanie Veronica Woodward, Peter Wayne Yeagle. Congratulations to all of you.
Well, again, congratulations to each member of the 2014 Order of the Coif. Now, as I mentioned, each year the law school also initiates one honorary member of the Order of the Coif. The reason for this is that until 1981, William and Mary Law School did not have an Order of the Coif chapter. So what we do each year for our honorary members, we go back to the classes before 1981 and select a member of a graduating class before that date who would have been an Order of the Coif had we had the order at that time. It also needs to be an alum who has enjoyed particularly extraordinary professional distinction over the course of their life. So eligibility at the time of graduation and extraordinary distinction since the time of graduation. This honorary member this year that we have selected is Jacqueline Denning, who graduated from our law school in 1976. And let me tell you a little bit about Jackie Denning. Jackie enrolled at William and Mary Law School in 1973. having graduated number one in her class at Emory University with a degree in chemistry. Now, Stanford University awarded Jackie a fellowship to do a PhD in chemistry. She had a choice to make, and she chose instead to become a law student at William & Mary. She arrived in 1973 at a time when women were just beginning to come into law schools in large numbers. She was quite simply an extraordinary student. She graduated number 7 in her class and was an articles editor on the William & Mary Law Review. After graduation, she took a job with the prestigious Washington, D.C. law firm of Arnold & Porter, and a few years later joined the partnership at Arnold & Porter and remained with the firm for the remainder of her career until she retired a couple of years ago. We believe that Jackie was the first female graduate of William & Mary Law School to secure an initial position at one of the major law firms in the United States, Arnold & Porter in this instance. And also, we believe she's the first woman graduate of the law school to secure a partnership at one of the major law firms in the United States. I should say she did a marvelous job paving the way for other William & Mary graduates. To this day, our law school has more of its graduates at Arnold & Porter than any other Washington, D.C. law firm. And in fact, Jackie, I'll have to tell you, I just learned in the last few months 2 more women joined the partnership at Arnold & Porter that were graduates of William & Mary. Jackie spent her entire career at Arnold & Porter as a litigator. She specialized in complex civil litigation and handled a large number of class action lawsuits. Given her background in science, she excelled particularly in cases involving complex scientific and technical issues. She could go toe-to-toe with the very best scientific expert witness because of her training as a scientist. On one occasion, she served as national counsel for the American Red Cross, defending many lawsuits brought by individuals claiming they had been infected by the HIV virus from transfusions of blood provided by the Red Cross. In addition to being a very successful trial lawyer, Jackie Denning was a highly effective appellate lawyer. Jackie, as one of our most outstanding graduates, you have made your alma mater very proud. It gives me great pleasure to confer on you, 38 years later, after your graduation, membership in Order of the Coif.
Thank you, Dean Douglas. I am absolutely thrilled to be here. And 38 years, wow. The fact that I am receiving this 38 years after I graduated caused me to sort of reflect back on the journey that this law school has taken. Now, when I was here in 1973 to 1976, not only did we not have an Order of the Coif, the law school didn't even have its own building. And to be honest, its future was really not all that secure. There was concern at the time that because of the no building and the limited library, we actually worried that the American Bar Association was going to suspend accreditation. Now, luckily, they didn't do that. And in the ensuing years, there were a series of incredibly dedicated deans who worked tirelessly to secure the law school's future. And not only did they secure it, but they have built it into the truly vibrant place it is today. One of the best things, the most important things those deans did was to attract the best and brightest faculty. And it is their scholarship and their talent for teaching that make this a truly special place. A law school is also judged on its students. And you, members of the class of 2014, have reason to be proud. Your accomplishments during your 3 years here have made this a better place and has expanded the law school's reputation for excellence. We know that US News rankings don't mean everything, but they do mean something. And in this case, I think it means that this law school has come a very long way in the last 38 years. And you were all part of that. I know that some of you, maybe more than a few graduates, are itching to leave the law school behind and get on with your careers, and that's totally understandable. I'm going to give you just one piece of advice, and that is, as you go forward, don't be so focused on what comes next that you fail to be fully present and experience all the joy of where you are. Take today, to borrow one of the dean's favorite phrases. This is a big deal. Your graduation from William and Mary Law School is a very big deal. You graduates are to be congratulated. Your family and friends who supported you and helped you get here are to be congratulated. So I hope that today you will enjoy this moment and then go on and enjoy each of the moments you have in the fine careers you have ahead of you. And thank you so much. This means more, I think, today than it would have if I had gotten it 38 years ago.
Jackie, thank you very much. And Jackie, I do want to remind you, this is a very big deal to be the honorary COIF member, and we are all proud of you. We turn now to several awards based on academic distinction among our graduating students. And we will begin with the ABA State and Local Government Award, which will be presented by Associate Dean Ron Rosenberg. And for each of these awards, once the award is presented, a new faculty member will step up to present the next award. Dean Rosenberg.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and congratulations, graduates of the class of 2014. It's my honor to announce the first of the academic awards, and the American Bar Association asks us to recognize the outstanding performance in the area of land use and local government law. The real award, I've been assured by my friends over here, is in the mail, and the recipient of this should be assured of that fact. But what she will receive is a memento certificate that will be presented this year to Eileen Setien.
I am pleased to present the ABA B&A Award for Excellence in the Study of Health Law. I had the good fortune of teaching this particular student in the Health Law and Policy course this spring, and not only did he evidence impressive mastery of the subject matter, but also contributed significantly and meaningfully to the intellectual vibrancy of the classroom. For his outstanding performance, I award Sean Radomski the ABA B&A Award for Excellence in the Study of Health Law.
Hi, the American Bar Association and Bureau of National Affairs Award for Excellence in the Study of Intellectual Property Law honors superior academic performance in the field of intellectual property law. This year's recipient has certainly demonstrated such performance. She earned top grades in a number of IP courses here at the law school, copyright law, copyright litigation, patent law, and trademark law. She also served as co-vice president of our Student Intellectual Property Society, SIPS, for 2 years, and is a member of the Greater Richmond Intellectual Property Law Association. She's also a member of our Bill of Rights Journal, a leader in our student division of Lawyers Helping Lawyers, and has held externships with Spotsylvania in Richmond, the Muscarelli Museum of Art, and the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. So with all that, I am very pleased to present the ABA B&A Award for Excellence in the Study of Intellectual Property Law to Rachel Cannon.
I will be presenting the ALI ABA Scholarship and Leadership Award. This award is given to 5 law students in the 2014 graduating class who best represent a combination of scholarship and leadership. I would like to think that it is not a coincidence that 3 of the 5 of those students, a full 60%, had me for criminal law in their very first semester, and that the intellectual rigor of that class paved the way for their future success. But just put that aside for a moment. The first recipient, this is in alphabetical order, is Kevin Spencer Elliker. I got to know Kevin. He was not one of my students. I got to know him when he was vice president of the Student Bar Association and I was vice dean. And anybody who knows Kevin will know what a measured, helpful, intellectual voice he was on the Student Bar Association. Anytime we had a question about what the students were thinking, what was the best way forward, we relied on Kevin to provide useful, helpful advice. Our next student is Elizabeth Joan Heron. She was very influential she had an important position in the Women's Law Society, which was also very helpful when I was vice dean. And she was my TA last semester in criminal law class, which means that she tutored my first-year criminal law students. My first-year criminal law students were in awe of Liz. They came back to me with so many comments about how much she knew, how nice she was, and she asked me at one point whether she could provide them a copy of the exam that she wrote to give them an idea of what to do, and I said, sure, that's a great idea. I was a little bit surprised a month later when I was reading some of the current exams that some of them were talking about characters in Liz's exam. So they were so in awe of her that they decided to use her. It didn't gain them any points, but it shows the admiration that Liz generated. Next, we have Alex Snyder Mackler, who I've had the privilege of knowing since first-year criminal law. Again, he is a person who cares deeply for the law school. When I was vice dean, I would frequently see him in the hallways and say, Alex, what do you think about such and such? Why? Because he had a good take. He had important information both about what's going on in the law school and what we ought to be doing to make this a better place. Even, just within the last semester, I've talked to Alex about a range of issues, even though he's leaving, going off to bigger and better things, and I'm no longer in the dean's office. But I know it's meaningful to me how much Alex cares about this institution. Our next student is Kayla Faye Scott McCann. I did not have the privilege of teaching Kayla, though I know from my colleagues what an extraordinarily smart student and nice person she is. Those are 2 characteristics that don't go together as often as we would like them to in law school, but Kayla exemplifies both of them. In fact, I had a very high-level conversation with her trusts and estates professor just before this awards ceremony, and he pointed out that she very meaningfully contributed to trusts and estates class, and if those who are in the 3L graduating class who remember a trust and estates class know just how infrequent it is to have a student who is engaged in trust and estates class. So Kayla stands out in that regard. And finally, we have Sean Joseph Razomsky, who is not only an extraordinary student, but the outgoing president of our Student Bar Association. I have so many memories of Sean, both from 1L criminal law and beyond that I couldn't share all of them. But perhaps my favorite is after the first semester in December of, I guess it was 2011 now, Sean emailed me that he was applying for a scholarship from some Polish foundation. And there was short notice. I remember being in England at the time, and things had to get done quickly. So I wrote him a letter of recommendation, which was very easy to do because he was an extremely strong student. Even then, it was obvious his leadership capacity. But I wrote back to him and I said, but Sean, what am I supposed to say about the Polish thing? Because, I know how smart you are, I know how hardworking you are, but I don't have anything about the Polish thing. And he writes back something like, my mom makes a mean kielbasa and I really like it. And I didn't put that in those words, but we got the kielbasa in there. In any event, I am honored to present the ALI ABA Scholarship and Leadership Award to these fine 5 students.
The American Bankruptcy Institute Award is given each year to a student who demonstrates excellence in the field of failure. Bankruptcy law is a difficult subject which oftentimes intimidates law students. It has a voluminous body of common law cases, a very complicated statute and code to interpret, a lot of intricate legal doctrines. But even beyond that, it requires students to do basic math, which can be especially frightening. Our current recipient this year is able to face down not only arithmetic, but also the bankruptcy code. He was a student of mathematics, got his bachelor's degree from Stanford University. Since coming to William & Mary, he has performed excellent in his coursework. He has worked at the Consumer Finance Protection Board, and after graduation, will be clerking for Judge Frank J. Santoro of the Eastern District of Virginia's U.S. Bankruptcy Court. It's with great pleasure that I present this year's award to Alex Lurie.
As some of you may know, Benjamin Rush was a physician, avid patriot, constant advocate of colonial rights, and a lifelong friend of Thomas Jefferson. A signer of the Declaration of Independence, he also served as the Surgeon General of the Army. Understandably, he is often called the physician of the Revolution. Here at William & Mary, the law school's Benjamin Rush Scholars are those students who have achieved distinction in health law and policy scholarship. They have each written a paper of outstanding quality, demonstrating impressive intellectual rigor, innovative thinking, and superior writing abilities. They have presented their papers at the annual Rush Symposium held at the law school in the spring and open to the entire William & Mary community. This year, the Benjamin Rush Scholarship Award is presented to 5 students. First, we have Rachel Cannon for her paper entitled At the Crossroads of Patient Privacy and Public Safety, Gun Control, HIPAA Privacy Protection, and State Reporting to NICS. Alexander Lott for his paper entitled No Patient Left Behind, a Proposal for Medical Malpractice Reform. Kayla McCann for her paper entitled Conflict or Compromise, State Flexibility Within Qualified Health Plan Regulations under the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. Kristen White for her paper entitled Death Panels and Why We Need Them. Emily Wilson for her paper entitled Ending the Patchwork, a Call for a National Healthcare Privacy Law to Facilitate Interoperable Electronic Health Records in a National Health Information Network. These 5 students have done an extraordinary job and represent the best of academic success and superior writing and scholarship here at William & Mary. I'm extremely proud of each of you, and the law school wishes you every success for what lies ahead and looks forward to reading your future scholarship.
Must have been set for the dean. I have the honor and privilege of presenting the John E. Donaldson Award. Now, John E. Donaldson's not as famous, perhaps, as Benjamin Rush, but he's one of our own. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. Currently, Professor of Law Emeritus, John Donaldson began his relationship with this law school more than 50 years ago. A member of the class of 1963, he was editor-in-chief of the Law Review. He went off to Washington, D.C. for a few years, got a master's in tax at Georgetown, worked in the National Office of the Internal Revenue Service, and returned here in 1966 and became, as I think he told me, the 8th member at that time of the law school faculty. John remained on the faculty for 35 years, during which time he taught countless students who all admired him greatly, courses in tax, trusts, and estates, and a few other subjects. He won every award that a faculty member can win, not only at the law school, but the college at large. He served in numerous administrative capacities. He was also known well through various bar associations and in the community, where he served on the James City County Board of Supervisors for 8 years, including one as chairman. And John retired in 2001, but he comes around from time to time. He remains a great friend of the law school. And John's greatest legacy will be the thousands of lawyers whose careers were shaped by his teaching in the classroom and his advice outside the classroom. So what does someone have to do to win an award named for John Donaldson? One has to excel in at least 3 tax courses. Yes, there are students who take at least 3 tax courses. There are actually a lot of students who take more than 3 tax courses. And this year, I am pleased to announce that the recipient of the John E. Donaldson Award for the most outstanding tax student in the graduating class is Heather Schmidt.
The Family Law section of the Virginia State Bar and the Virginia chapter of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers co-sponsor a Family Law Book Award to be presented to a graduating student at each Virginia law school who has demonstrated the most promise and potential for the practice of family law. The 2014 recipient, who unfortunately cannot be with us today, is Catherine Leary.
At the law school, we offer 2 degree programs. Most of you are familiar with the JD program. The second program we offer is the LLM degree in American law that is offered to foreign law students and lawyers. These students come from all over the world, and they take courses in the regular JD classes. The award that I will announce, and the 6 people who I'll ask to come up to the stage, have won the Graduate Academic Excellence Award. This award is the equivalent of what Professor Roberts announced initially, the Order of the Coif Award, that goes to the top 10% of the students in that class. So for the class of 2013-2014 LLM, the following have won this award: Nasser Al-Naimi, Yang Chung, Hongwei Ma, Ye Tian, Chu Wang, Yishe Zhang. Please come up.
I'm pleased to announce the Excellence in LLM Legal Writing. We have 6 awardees, and so please come up when I announce your name. Dawn Lee, Yue Peng, Yishi Zhang, Cheyenne Yu Wei, Yen Soon, and Philip Mutton.
The William Hamilton Award recognizes outstanding performance in legal history. And this year's recipient, I'm pleased to say, was a student of mine who is very bright, clever, and very hardworking. And I'm pleased to award this to Megan Sarah Stubblebine.
I'm very pleased now to award the Carter Kaplan and Company Award. This award is given to an outstanding student in international financial law, a field about which I'm quite confident this year's recipient knows far more than I ever will. The 2014 recipient of the Carter Kaplan and Company Award is Yan Ding. In absentia.
Well, good afternoon. The generosity of the Baltimore-based law firm of Crutchko and Fries makes possible the annual recognition of a graduating student who's excelled in labor law and employment relations. And the recipient is selected by the law school faculty who teach labor and employment law, of which I have the honor to be one, which means that the recipient this year is a student of mine who I know has deserved it well. There were a number of outstanding candidates this year, which made the choice that much harder. But only one of them managed to get an A in all three employment law classes that the school offers. That's labor law, employment discrimination, and employment law. And that graduating student is Kylie Madsen.
Good afternoon. The Legal Practice Program and its predecessor, the Legal Skills Program, seeks to prepare its graduates of William & Mary Law School in legal writing and in specific legal skills, lawyering skills, such as witness interviews, negotiations, and mediations. And thus, this next award, the Legal Practice Scholar Award, goes to those students who were most successfully able to overcome substantial writer's block, as well as to defeat their fear of public speaking. So, there are 23 graduates in this graduating class who have achieved this award. The 23 students each received the highest possible marks in 3 semesters of legal practice program. The following 23 students, please come up to the stage. Michael D. Arena, Aaron E. Barrett, James R. Booth, Carolyn R. Cody, Gregory W. Durham, Suzanne M. Grassel, James T. Graves, Tyler T. Henry, Elizabeth C. Hill, Meredith E. Hunt, Alexandra L. Klein, Alexander S. Mackler, Skylar R. Peacock, Martha E. Petty, Brett W. Piersma, Jenna M. Puligo, Sean J. Radomski, Cassandra B. Roeder, Eileen A. Setien, Megan S. Stubblebean, Erica L. Websey, Kristen L. Wachowski, and Peter W. Yeagle. Please join me in congratulating these students.
It is my pleasure to present the National Association of Women Lawyers Award, which is given to a student who contributes to the advancement of women in society, promotes issues and concerns of women in the legal profession, exhibits motivation, tenacity, and enthusiasm, demonstrates academic achievement, and earns the respect of the dean and the faculty. Please join me in congratulating this year's recipient, Elizabeth J. Herron.
Each year, the Virginia Trial Lawyers Association recognizes a graduating student who intends to take the Virginia Bar exam, practice in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and who has excelled in the area of trial advocacy. I have had the pleasure of working for several years with this student on the national trial team, and I would like at this time it's my pleasure to award this award to Keith Robert Busby.
You know, we have a great trial team here, and I'll have to say one of the wonderful features of it is that we've got just terrific professors who work with us in this program, a lot of whom are judges here in Virginia. This was Justice Lee Millett of the Virginia Supreme Court, and he devotes an incredible amount of his time to our trial team, and they've had some tremendous success. I do have one more academic award I just wanted to mention. It's already been awarded, but it's a nice one, and I wanted to call attention to it. Each year, our law school sends one of our students to the University of London so that they may pursue study leading to a Master of Law at the University of London. It's really quite an honor. It's referred to as our Draper Scholar. And in turn, the University of London, or from the United Kingdom, we receive a student also funded by the Draper's Company in London. And Philip Mutton, who you saw a few minutes ago, he is our Draper Scholar this year here at William & Mary. The competition on our side is quite intense. And this year's recipient, I don't know if she's here. If she is, I'd like for her to stand, Ann Zachariah. Ann, are you here? Ann's back here. Ann will have a marvelous opportunity to take a postgraduate one-year degree at the University of London next year. thanks to the Draper's Company. Now, an important part of the legal education that we provide our students is their work on the student-edited law reviews. Here at William & Mary, we have 5 law reviews: the William & Mary Law Review, the William & Mary Bill of Rights Journal, the William & Mary Environmental Law and Policy Review, the William & Mary Journal of Women in the Law, and the William & Mary Business Law Review. Now, these 5 journals together each year publish thousands and thousands of law review pages. I cannot imagine the amount of time that is spent collectively by members of the class of 14 on selecting, editing, and site checking all of these articles and student notes. Now, one of the marks of distinction of a law review is how often is its work cited by other scholars or by judges. And of course, like almost everything in law, we count. And what I'd like to do is give you a sense of how our 5 law reviews do. And this is, again, a measure of their prestige and prominence in the field. And for parents and family, as you listen to how our law reviews fare, please understand that there are literally hundreds and hundreds of law reviews out there. Okay. First, the William & Mary Law Review is the 21st most cited law review in the United States. The William & Mary Bill of Rights Journal is the 2nd most cited law review in the field of civil rights law, and the 3rd most cited law review in the field of constitutional law. Some law journals are general, like the William & Mary Law Review. Some have a specific area. In its specific area, the Bill of Rights Journal is truly extraordinary. The William & Mary Environmental Law and Policy Review is the most cited specialty law review in the field of energy law, and the 9th most cited specialty law review in the field of environmental law. The William & Mary Journal of Women in the Law is the 8th most cited specialty law review in the field of gender studies, women, and sexuality. And finally, our newest law review, the William & Mary Business Law Review, is the 12th most cited student-edited law review in the field of corporate and business law, and the 30th most cited student-edited law review in the field of commercial law. In addition, for the Business Law Review, of the 27 student-edited law reviews that have been established in the last 5 years, our Business Law Review is the 3rd most cited, trailing only the Harvard National Security Journal and the UC Irvine Law Review. So as you can tell, parents and friends, our students work extraordinarily hard on these 5 law journals, but they do so with great success. And the reputation of our journals are one of the important features of the education that we provide to our students. So congratulations to all students in the class of 2014 who worked on one of our 5 law reviews. If you are such a student, would you please stand and be recognized? We will now convey upon certain individuals who worked on one of these law reviews special awards for their excellence.
The first award that I will give will be to the winner of the Environmental Law and Policy Review's Award for Excellence. This was a student note selected to be the most outstanding student note, and a student note is an extended paper that is usually chosen for publication, and this was chosen to be the very best. The recipient this year is Patrick James Genova for his note, Good Vibrations, the Push for New Laws and Industry Practices in American Instrument Making. Patrick? A second award that I will read, there's no certificate or plaque for this one, is the Thomas Jefferson Prize, and I'll explain. The Thomas Jefferson Prize is awarded every year to the Bill of Rights Journal during their end-of-the-year banquet, which has already happened. Of the notes already selected for publication on the journal, the Jefferson Prize is given to the note that best addresses a novel and timely issue in constitutional law in a clear and persuasive manner. At this time, I'd like to ask that William Rose stand and be recognized for his note, Claiming Unsettled Waters, a proposal for navigating the tenuous power divide between the federal courts and the USPTO under the American Invents Act. William, are you here? Great. Congratulations, William.
I will be presenting 2 awards for the William and Mary Business Law Review. It's true, as the dean was saying, that this is the youngest of our journals at the law school, but it's making great strides already in the fields of corporate and commercial law. The first is for the best student note in the Business Law Review. This year's recipient for her note, Marketing of Investment Advisors to Public Pension Plans, Achieving Transparency Through Lobbying Regulations, goes to Christina Sumpio, who unfortunately cannot attend today. And secondly, I am very pleased to present the award for the most outstanding member of the Business Law Review. I was fortunate to have this individual as a student last year, and I should say, we've been talking about notes in these papers that students write. The role that this individual played is one that I certainly don't envy, having worked on law reviews in the past myself. It is one in which there are so many submissions to review, not just for the scholarly articles that we faculty submit to law reviews around the country, but from fellow classmates, fellow students at the law school. This individual was the senior notes editor, usually tasked with reviewing all of those, helping to select them, and also helping to make sure that they are of sufficient quality for publication in the Business Law Review. I also had this student, as I mentioned, last year in a course called Remedies, and for those in the room who had me for that, you know it's almost exclusively a 3L class, which meant that the student also had no shortage of ambition and did quite well in the course. I am so pleased, therefore, to award the most outstanding member of the Business Law Review to Arthur Durst.
I'm pleased to present the award for the William and Mary Women in Law Journal Best Student Note. This goes to Gowri, I'm pausing here, Janakiramana. I hope I got that right. I've been practicing all afternoon. For her fascinating note, I've only read a little bit of it, but I recommend it to all of you. It really looks very, very interesting. It's entitled Protecting the Living Victims, Evaluating the Impact of India's Farmer Suicide Crisis on its Rural Women. Next, I'm happy to present the award for the William and Mary Law Review's Best Student Note. The winner of this award is Megan Stubblebine. Her note is entitled The Federal Medical Loss Ratio, a Permissible Federal Regulation or an Encroachment on State Power. Please join me in congratulating Megan.
Another very important feature of our education at William & Mary are our competition teams. And a healthy percentage of our students compete either on our moot court team, our national trial team, or our alternative dispute resolution team. William & Mary Law School, actually, one of the oldest competition teams in American law schools has the moot court. If there's some of you who went to law school in the room, maybe back in the 70s, 60s, or 50s, your school would have had a moot court team. Trial teams came a little bit later, and then alternative dispute resolution teams came later thereafter. The first moot court team in the United States was founded here at William & Mary in 1780. And this was part of our history. The law school was established to train leaders for the new nation in 1779 because our founder, Thomas Jefferson, thought that we would win independence and we would need leaders. And in 18th century political culture, excellence at oral persuasion was an incredibly valuable commodity. And so we began what had been an old English tradition, dating perhaps back to the Middle Ages, of the moot court. And George Wythe, our first law professor, founded the moot court, and on a regular basis, the students would dispute with each other as part of their educational experience. And since 1780, moot courts have sprung up at law schools across the country. Members of the class of 2014 who participated in moot court enjoyed considerable success. I'm only going to mention those moot court members that had particular success at various moot court tournaments, and I hope I hadn't missed anybody. I'm going to do that for each of the three teams. I'm not going to mention every single student who participated in a tournament, but just a few that enjoyed particular success with each of the three competition teams. On the moot court team, I'd like to single out Erin Barrett, Caitlin Cravata, and if you'll just stand where you are, Kevin Elliker, Emily Gomes, Daniel Niesenson, Jean Noonan, and Jim Ogorzalek. If you guys would stand. The entire moot court team had a marvelous year. These particular ones had some very special success, but congratulations to every member of the moot court team. William & Mary has had a tradition of having a particularly outstanding trial team. Our national trial team historically and for many years has enjoyed also, along with the moot court team, extraordinary success. And I'm going to mention just a few individuals who had a particularly outstanding success at some of the national trial team tournaments. And I will ask you to stand where you're seated as well. Keith Busby, Christina Cerruti, Taylor Connolly, Eric Durr, Matthew Fine, Emily Gomes, Andrew King, Nandor Kiss, Scholar Peacock. Now, one of the emerging and most popular methods of dispute resolution in our society is alternative dispute resolution, not the traditional go to court and fight it out, but try to resolve disputes through arbitration or mediation or other forms of alternative dispute resolution. And so this has become an important part of our curriculum, and our alternative dispute resolution team has become an important part of our education here at the law school. And I'd like to mention a few of the students that participated in some of the alternative dispute resolution competitions with some success. Nicole Ozeran, Peter Yeagle, Leo Mensah, Eric Durr, Tommy D'Antonio, Kevin Elliker, Nikki Hartz, Sarah Beeson, Elizabeth Turner, Carolyn Cody, Nate Yu, Pamela Kalinowski, Kaylin Gale. If you were, I hope one of you didn't stand up. Would you please stand up? Finally, if you're here today and you were a member of the moot court team, the national trial team, or the alternative dispute resolution team, would you please stand up and accept our applause? Congratulations to every one of you.
The Order of Barristers was established at the University of Texas in 1965 as an honor society dedicated to the acknowledgement of superior advocacy. To be elected to the Order of Barristers, a student must have contributed substantially in an oral argument program, either in the administration of an advocacy program or through the development of advocacy skills through competition. That selection is limited by the school's student participation in competitive advocacy activities. Only 8 students can be selected from William & Mary. The selection is made by the National Trial Team, the Moot Court Team, and the Alternative Dispute Resolution Team. I'll now list in alphabetical order the 8 students. From the ADR team, Keith Robert Busby. If you please come on up. From the National Trial Team, Christina Nicole Cerruti. From the Moot Court Team, Catlin Charles Cravata. From the Moot Court Team, Kevin Spencer Elliker. From the National Trial Team, Matthew Isaac Fine. From the National Trial Team, Emily Ann Gomez. From the Moot Court Team, James Ryan Ogorzalek. And from the ADR team, Peter Wayne Yeagle.
Central to our educational process is also the training of lawyers in professionalism. Each year we recognize certain students for displaying a particularly powerful commitment to professionalism. And Professor Laura Killinger, who leads our legal practice program, will present the first group of awards.
It is my pleasure to present this year's Gambrell Award recipients. The Gambrell Award is given to the 14 students, each one who is elected by his or her law firm, that best represents professionalism, integrity, public service, dedication to the improvement of lawyering skills, and actual improvement of lawyering skills. Each recipient receives a certificate and a Jefferson Cup. This year's 14 Gambrell recipients are Serge Agbray, Michael Arena, Aaron Barrett, Scott Dranoff, Brian Holland, please come forward, sorry. Alexandra Klein, John Lee, Alex Mackler, Martha Petty, Megan Stubblebine, Christina Sumpio, Emily Wilson, Melanie Woodward, and Ann Zachariah. Please join me in a...
Good afternoon. The Presidential Management Fellowship Program recognizes outstanding graduates from all master's, doctoral, and law programs nationwide who have a clear interest in and commitment to public service. The PMF program is the federal government's flagship initiative to develop a cadre of potential government leaders. The PMF selection process is extremely competitive. Approximately 7,000 students applied this year, and only 600, a mere 8.7%, were selected as finalists. 2 of those finalists are members of William & Mary Law School's class of 2014. It's my pleasure to ask Caitlin Cater and Nandor Kiss to stand and be recognized.
The Spong Professionalism Award is given by the Society of the Alumni of the College of William & Mary to one third-year law student who best exemplifies professionalism and ethics in the legal practice program. This award comes with a monetary award, a Jefferson Cup, and a Lovely Certificate, and the 2014 award goes to Martha Petty, who unfortunately could not be here today.
One of the central ethics of William & Mary Law School is our commitment to service, as exemplified by our notion of training students to become citizen lawyers. And so now we turn to that part of the program in which we honor students for their service. And not surprisingly, it is one of the longer sections of the program in terms of the awards that we confer on our students. For the past decade or so, Dean's certificates have been awarded to a small group of graduating students whose service to the law school has been particularly compelling. Now, I have to tell you, it's not easy to pick 20 students out of a class of 215 when the criteria is those who have contributed so much. But I do have 20 students that I would like to honor. So as I call your name, please stand up and come forward. Okay, this is one where you come up and get your picture taken. And thank you so much for your service to the school. This year's 20 winners of the Dean's Certificates: Yvonne Baker, Sarah Beeson, James Booth, Keith Busby, Rachel Cannon, Mark D'Antonio, Kevin Elliker, Matthew Fine, Reena Gandhi, Nicole Hartz, Gregory Herrick, Sarah Lambert, Alex Lott, Alex Mackler, Kayla McCann. Y'all can spread across on this side too if you want. James Aguzalek, Lindsay Palladino, Beth Petty, Sean Radomski, Cassandra Reeder, Eileen Setien, Andrew Steinberg, Janet Sully, Emily Whitaker, and Peter Yeagle. Thank you so much for your service to the law school. So many of our student organizations at the law school have as part of their central mission a commitment to service. We have many student organizations, and so the amount of service that our students engage in, either individually or collectively, is truly staggering. There is one student organization that I am going to single out today for their level of service, which I think is extraordinarily robust year in, year out, and that is our Black Law Students Association. This student group each year engages in a broad range of service activities within the building and within the community here in Williamsburg and in the greater community outside of Williamsburg. I'm just going to mention one. Every year, our Black Law Students Association hosts the Thanksgiving Basket competition among all the legal skills firms. A few years ago, this competition, I guess for this 3L class here, did a great job, gathered more than 2,500 items of food for needy families in the community, which is just extraordinary. The 2L class, I have to confess, I'm going to brag on the 2Ls and 1Ls here. I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to go ahead and do it and keep the theme going. The 2Ls, I have to say, collected 4,000 pieces of food. The 1Ls, forgive me, broke the 8,000 mark. And I'm saying this primarily to the parents and families. Your students have an extraordinary commitment to service. And the Black Law Students Association does sponsor this competition, but I think that Thanksgiving basket competition does show the commitment throughout the student body to paying attention to the needs of those who are less fortunate. So it really is a magnificent tribute to BALSA. It's a magnificent tribute to everyone in this room. Thank you very much.
I have the honor of directing our clinical programs here at the law school, where close to 150 second and third years annually work under the supervision of an attorney and provide direct representation to clients in need. They do this while still in the teaching environment of law school. Recognizing the importance of these pro bono efforts in our nation's law schools, the Clinical Legal Education Association encourages selection of one student at each law school as that year's outstanding student. Now, I know that I join my colleagues in the clinical program in thinking that we'd like to give one to all of our students, but we can only give one outstanding student award, and this student spent 2 semesters in our Puller Veterans Benefits Clinic. She was given complex and heartbreaking cases, including those involving military sexual trauma. One veteran took months to open up about his experience, but through the student's consistent compassion and respect, the client eventually opened up to her. Ultimately, through her hard work and legal advocacy, this veteran ultimately received 100% disability from the Department of Veterans Affairs. The student's clients love her because she is compassionate, communicative, and competent. Her classmates love her because she is collaborative, knowledgeable, and considerate. And Professor Simcox, her instructor in this Puller Clinic, nominated her for all of these reasons, and because when this student handed her a legal opinion on a matter, she knew that she'd done the research, exhausted the issue, and handed her the most well-supported position that a student could provide. The 2014 Clinical Legal Education Outstanding Student Award goes to Jacqueline Sandler.
Mark, you're here. Good. Where is he?
Sorry, with the picture taking.
The George Wythe Society for Citizen Lawyers here at the law school is one of William & Mary's oldest student organizations. We're a group of students and alums dedicated to the idea that lawyers should place the interests of their community or society above those of their own. William & Mary Law School was founded by Jefferson to help train leaders for the new republic. And the George Wythe Society believes that that idea should continue to permeate throughout for the future. While many awards exist to honor the deeds of those within the law school, we believed, or for those who I'm sorry. Many awards exist to honor those people who have done things within the law school. We believed that there should be one for somebody within the law school who has done deeds outside of the law school in the community, because the law school is only part of our community, all of Williamsburg. I am proud to announce that this year's recipient of the George Wythe Society Award for service goes to Cassie Fritzius. While most 2009 and 10, before most of our times, down here in Williamsburg, and she's involved with a local motorcycle club named Old Dudes, a group that was created in part by your husband, or entirely? Yes. In part, that has raised more than $100,000 recently for breast cancer research. She's also an avid quilter who, along with a national movement called Quills for Valor, auctions her creations to raise additional funds for research. Cassie has worked tirelessly for years to fight this deadly form of cancer, years that she's also spent as one of the busiest members of the law school staff. She deserves praise enough for the work here that she does at the law school on a daily basis, but today we honor her for what she's done despite our constant bickering, and are pleased to see the dean. Today we honor her for her work outside the law school, in the real world. Please join William & Mary Law School and the George Wythe Society in honoring Cassie Fritzius.
Our next award is given to an LLM student who has been an outstanding member of the law school community during his 1 year here at the law school, and this is for Philip Mutton.
The Honor Council is one of the most important student-run organizations at the law school. It protects and nurtures the climate of trust that exists among our students and the integrity that is central to our law school life. The Honor Council has been led very ably this year by a graduating 3L student, Andrew Steinberg. I invite Andrew and the other members of the Honor Council to step forward and be recognized for their work. This isn't always the easiest work to do, but it's essential to the fabric of our community. I invite to come forward Andrew Steinberg, Carolyn Cody, Jessica Hu, Alexandra Klein, Alex Mackler, Daniel Niesenson, Emily Whitaker, Melanie Woodward, and Laura Wynn. Thank you very much for your service.
I'm the managing attorney of the Lewis B. Puller Jr. Veterans Benefits Clinic. In this clinical experience, students learn how to be actual lawyers, right, while helping our nation's disabled military veterans. We represent both active duty service members and those who stopped wearing their combat boots a long time ago. And at this time, it seems appropriate to ask that our family and friends who are here with us today rise if you're a veteran or an active duty service member so we can thank you for your service. So the Puller Clinic Award for Excellence is symbolized in this small token, and those of you who are military will know what it is. It's a coin. And the tradition of coins in the military began when soldiers in the Civil War and in World War I left for battle. And they'd take a coin from home in their pocket and keep it with them after the conflict so they could remember not only the home, but what had happened to them. Today, coins are carried by soldiers and sailors, airmen, and Marines. They identify the bearer as a member of a particular unit with a well-defined mission and a history. A coin isn't just a token. It's a source of pride for America's warriors today at every level in the chain of command. Commanders use them as on-the-spot awards for excellence or service, and they're a physical symbol of gratitude for a job well done. Our coin was designed with the history and meaning in mind of the Puller Clinic. The coin has the William & Mary moniker on the front, and on the back it has the motto of our clinic, serving those who've sacrificed. It also has the 3 pillars of the Puller Clinic: selfless service, professionalism, and heroism. It's my distinct pleasure to award this coin to the members of the 3L class who went above and beyond in their support of our nation's heroes. In the past year alone, these students worked approximately 1,900 hours on behalf of veterans, represented active duty service members during medical retirement hearings for complicated traumatic brain injuries and PTSD, and educated veterans in outreaches at homeless shelters. They truly are William & Mary's best examples of the citizen lawyer, and I'm honored to work with each of them. So if you would come up, please. James Booth, Joe Figueroa, Brett Piersma, Alex Mackler, Jacqueline Sandler, Michael Althouse, Megan Thomas, Simone Williams, Eric Hammerschmidt, Suzanne Grassel, Megan Stubblebine, Allie Klein, Paul Silver, Mark Rawls, Ariana Wright, Scott Dranoff, and Sarah Lambert.
This afternoon, it is my privilege to stand in for our class of 2005 alum, Claire Maddox-Ribble, and her husband, Bob, who generously established the Pele Special Education Advocacy Clinic Award. They sent some thoughts for me to share with you. Claire and Bob feel incredibly grateful to be able to recognize a student for her outstanding work in advocating on behalf of children with special needs and their families. This award is presented in honor of their son, Evan, who has cerebral palsy, and in memory of his twin brother, Brooks. This past fall, Evan began his kindergarten year in the Functional Life Skills program in Arlington County. For parents of a special needs child, navigating the school system waters presents a unique set of challenges. Factor in the emotional component, and the process can feel especially daunting and overwhelming. A guiding hand can make all the difference. Claire and Bob shared that they are grateful to their law school, the Pele Clinic, and the students for their efforts to support families in working with schools to meet their children's needs. This year's recipient took the Pele Clinic in the fall and consistently impressed me with her diligence, tenacity, professionalism, and compassion in working with her clients. Her passion for the work prompted her to sign on for a second semester, working on more complex issues and mentoring a new student team. Her legal work was always outstanding, and the hours she put into her cases knew no scheduling boundaries. She and her mentored student even called me during Beach Week to make sure a client's needs were met before they graduated. This student has already volunteered to help with clinic matters during bar study. Many of the Pele students work equally hard, but this particular student also exhibits her passion for special education advocacy within her own family as she serves as big sister to Hunter and Haley. Claire and Bob send a special thank you to this year's recipient, Katie Baranek, for her outstanding service to these families.
I am Faye Sheely, and I had the honor and pleasure of working with you during the law school admission process. I was then, as I am now, proud of your accomplishments and excited about your future. Congratulations to each member of the class of 2014. Would the following graduates please come forward to be recognized for their personal commitment, dedication, and contribution to our admission program? Katie Deborah Baranek, Erin Elizabeth Barrett, Keith Robert Busby, Alexander Snyder Mackler, Kayla Faye Scott McCain, Jenna Marie Poligo, Elizabeth Karenz Smith, Janet C. Scully, Laura Elizabeth Valig. Each year, student volunteers give generously of their time to assist the admission office with recruitment and enrollment activities. Admission programs are strengthened by our enthusiastic student volunteers, and on behalf of William & Mary Law School, I'd like to recognize how much we have appreciated and valued your work while you've been a member of the law school community. You have given countless tours, emailed numerous prospective and admitted students, participated in phone-a-thons, hosted guests overnight, served on admitted students' weekend panels, coordinated and organized group visits, and many, many other tasks that we have asked of you. You have represented the law school during hours of law school fairs and recruitment events, carefully responding to the difficult curriculum questions and sharing your William & Mary experience, as well as answering the really tough questions like, where is Williamsburg? What do people do in Williamsburg? And my personal favorite, directions to downtown Williamsburg. On behalf of the entire law school, thank you for all that you've done for the admissions program and for the law school community. The law school is a better place for all that you have accomplished, and for that we give you an award of excellence. Congratulations and thank you.
The Law School Student Government Association is called the Student Bar Association, or the SBA. It does remarkably good work throughout the law school year after year and was led this year with particular skill by Sean Radomski. I'm going to ask Sean and next year's SBA President, Blake Christopher, to come forward to present some awards.
The following individuals have provided valuable support through the years here at the law school. Please come up to the stage and be recognized for all that you have accomplished. Serge Ogbre, Katie Baranek, Aaron Barrett, Kevin Elliker, Scott Hardy, Alden Hines, Nander Kiss, MC Miller, Brian Charles Moore, Phil Mutton, Nicole Ozeron, Raj Paitel, Erica Penn, and Michael Shapiro. Thank you.
Well, we've spent the better part of the afternoon acknowledging the contributions of this incredible class to the life of the law school. They are equally incredible for their contributions to the communities outside of the law school, and so it's my pleasure to recognize this year's William & Mary Law School public servants. We recognize students who during one or more years of law school provide at least 35 hours of pro bono legal service or volunteer service to charitable, religious, civic, governmental, and educational organizations or causes for the good of the community. This year's class includes 62 William & Mary Law School public servants who provided almost 3,000 hours of service to their communities. They secured relief for low-income clients who were facing eviction, at risk of losing their children, the victims of predatory lenders, and other civil wrongs. They safeguarded the rights of indigent criminal defendants. They volunteered at soup kitchens and homeless shelters. They served as mentors to disadvantaged children and tutored teenagers and adults. They nurtured the environment through park cleanups and recycling initiatives. They built houses for Habitat for Humanity. They organized drives to collect food, clothing, books, and toys. And they literally saved lives by volunteering for blood drives and the campus bone marrow drive. Each of these graduates has received a certificate from the law school for their service. It's a privilege to recognize them now, and so as I call your name, please stand and remain standing. Mark Badanowski, Yvonne Baker, Aaron Barrett, Sarah Moser Beeson, Jack T. Brock II, Beth R. Budnick, Keith R. Busby, Rachel Marie Cannon, Caitlin Danielle Cater, Julie Virginia King Kersley, Shuwei Chang, Sarah Jane Connor, Catlin Cravata, Thomas J. D'Antonio, Justin Carter Dosh, Gabriella Davis, Elizabeth Ann Dorsey, Kristen L. Eakey, Karen S. Elliker, Franz Farrow, Amanda Lynn Fickett, Matthew Isaac Fine, Reena Mahesh Gandhi, Allison Handler, Christopher Henning, Elizabeth Caroline Hill, Gregory Herrick, Mike Kastner, Margaret Ann Kelly, Rachel M. Kelly, Alexandra L. Klein, Sarah Elizabeth Lambert, Catherine Leary, Andrew W. Lindsay, Alexander S. Mackler, Matt Yong Mao, Kayla Faye Scott McCann, Grant McLaughlin, James E. Moore, Daniel Nissenson, Jean Elizabeth Noonan, Katie Lynn Ocampo, Nicole Victoria Ozeron, Erica Penn, Sean Joseph Radomski, Larsa K. Ramsini, Cassandra B. Roeder, Heather Lynn Schmidt, Kevin Michael Schneider, Eileen A. Setien, Barbara Jean Stansel, Megan S. Stubblebine, Janet C. Sully, Courtney Thomas, Danielle Michelle Trumaliaris, Elizabeth Scott Turner, David Matthew Wilnow, Simone T. Williams, Emily C. Wilson, Ariana Wright, and Peter Wayne Yeagle. Please join me in congratulating these William & Mary community servants.
Well, this concludes our 2014 awards ceremony. We have a marvelous class of 2014, and what I would like is for all of the parents and friends to give one last round of applause to the class of 2014. And now I would like to invite everyone to join us just 2 or 3 blocks behind me at the law school for a nice reception. So look forward to seeing you in just a few minutes. Thank you so much for being here today.